Recently, not enough people have been praising Rashad's brainiac powers, so Rashad invited his old graduate advisor, Chike Akua, to come on his show and crow to viewers about how smart Rashad is. Now, his advisor isn't going to go through this kind of trouble for nothing. No, Rashad had to pay him in some way. What can Rashad do in return? Hey, what if Rashad sings the praises of Chike? So you're going to get a lot of, "Oh, Dr. Richey, you're such a scholar," and "Oh, Dr. Akua, it's such an honor to have been your student." There's going to be a lot of here and a there. So get your Alka-Seltzer out because the backslapping is going to be the stuff of gas station shrimp tempura. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's time for the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Now, I already cut a video on this interview where I went over Rashad Richey's lunatic physics theories. You can see that here. In this segment, I want to focus on Chike, who I know a lot about, but I have mostly left alone because, until now, he hasn't irritated me. The gloves are off now, though. Oh, before we get started, I should note that Rashad holds an educational doctorate, but that needs to be tempered by the fact that his research was not only in a completely worthless field, but his dissertation barely met the requirements of a senior capstone project. And I'm not kidding. See my video here and judge it for yourself. The fact that Chike led Rashad's work on that research doesn't exactly support his own scholarly reputation.
A high honor today. I have in the studio Dr. Chike Akua, Associate Professor, Clark Atlanta University, one of the most sought after speakers at urban schools, colleges, universities, educational conferences, etc. Has been featured in the Washington Post, Ebony Magazine, Black Enterprise Magazine, and has also led over 1,000 individuals on study tours throughout Africa, Egypt, Morocco, Ghana, and many other places. And he also happened to be my doctoral dissertation supervisor when I finished my doctoral studies at Clark Atlanta University.
Okay, so Chike is to blame for that load of crap you call a dissertation. Got it.
Doc, welcome to Indisputable. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Great to be here with you.
Good to have you, man. This is a treat. And you and I have become friends over the years since my studies at CAU. Yes. And last year, I had the great opportunity to co-lecture with you in Egypt. And I wanted to talk about the concepts, the ancient concepts of unity consciousness, because it seems as if we are in a significantly distance from that consciousness today. And you are the person, you're the go-to person for this stuff. So talk to us about it. Then we'll talk about opportunities to travel, to take a tour, and to learn in Kemet, known as Egypt.
Sure. It's interesting that you mentioned that because in ancient Kemet, or what we today would refer to as Egypt, there was a concept called Smai Tawi, and that was the unification of Upper Kemet and Lower Kemet to form one strong nation. So it's very interesting that the American Civil War was between the Union, which was in the north, and the Confederacy, which was in the south. You had a similar dynamic going on in ancient Kemet. And so it was very, very important when King Narmer came along with this concept of Smai Tawi and unified Upper Kemet and Lower Kemet. And that's the kind of unity we definitely need today.
So let me get this straight. There was an Upper Kemet and a Lower Kemet, and they fought and became unified? Really? Is there anything else about that conflict that relates to the American Civil War? I mean, that's it?
What are some of the nuances you see happening in the American culture, contextualized through the Black experience, contextualized through what we would understand as the policy experience, because now there's a policy shift happening? How does that How does this help us understand where we are and how we can get back on track or even be better?
Ooh, I know the answer to that question, and I'm not even a historian. The answer is nothing. Nothing. This unification occurred 5,000 years ago over issues completely unrelated to current conflict. Abortion, gun ownership, government spending, illegal immigration, trans in sports. None of the things that matter to us today matter to the people of the time of the unification of the realm. The people were different. Their attitudes were different. Their responses to conflict were different.
Well, policy comes about as a result of the organized practices of the people who deem that something needs to be changed in society. And so it's so important that we have shows like yours that help to inform us about the decisions that need to be made.
Yeah, it's great that we have Rashad's show to inform us of the decisions we need to make. Yeah, okay. Never mind the fact that Rashad's show is filled with falsehoods and pure propaganda.
In addition to that, one of the reasons why it's so important for us to know about our history and culture, you've heard it said before, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Okay, got it. Got to know your history of ancient Egypt to avoid making the same mistakes they made. I guess. So what were these mistakes? Oh, I'm sure he'll tell us.
And so we're seeing some things coming about today that we never expected would come about as a result of the struggles of Black freedom fighters of the 50s and 60s who put many policies in place that are now being dismantled. And then, of course, it wasn't just Black freedom fighters. It was people of goodwill of all ethnicities. And we're seeing the destabilization of the nation taking place right now as a result of retrograde policies.
And what does this have to do with ancient Egypt? You were supposed to tell us about the mistakes the ancient Egyptians made that we are in danger of making once again. Remember, we're doomed to repeat the same mistakes if we don't learn from them.
Now, what should happen? You are one of these individuals who understands history, culture, but also what has happened with the unification of humanity. Because when you look at the ancient Kemetic people, you see this great emphasis and this intentional emphasis on connecting based on who we are spiritually or who we are as a greater concept of humanity. What you have happening now, well, that's an illusion for most.
That made 0 sense. That was Kamala Harris word salad. Sure, it may sound scholarly to the uninitiated, but let's go back and play it again.
Because when you look at the ancient Kemetic people, you see this great emphasis and this intentional emphasis on connecting based on who we are spiritually or who we are as a greater concept of humanity.
Yeah, okay, Rashad, whatever you say.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the things that concerns me most from a policy perspective is that, again, going back to the 50s and 60s and the struggles of Black freedom fighters and people of goodwill, they put policies in place and they were very politically savvy in the way that they did it. When you look at, for example, the funding that comes about as a result of just for Title I funding, they were savvy enough to make that a line item on the federal budget, so that no matter who was in office, that funding would be there to deal with the inequities that are in the K through 12 public education system. They almost made it idiot proof, but we're dealing with some different kind of idiots today.
Yeah, we are. We're dealing with a different kind of idiot today. Now, when I first came across clips of Chike, my first thought was, he ain't looking too dark here. I don't know. Looks to me like Chike may be of the Wonder Bread eating, downhill slope skiing, bluegrass playing persuasion. Here is a picture of Chike standing next to a real African. Uh-oh, we might have an imposter here. Here's a picture of his sister, and she ain't looking too HBCU sorority either. As for his brother, if they ever want to make a movie about Telly Savalas, you get the picture. His mother is probably blacker than the ace of, oh crap. So it appears that Chike is not so much this, but rather this. But that's okay. That actually increases his chances of being descended from the Egyptians, from 0, like Rashad, to maybe 25%. I don't know, Chike. It seems that if you want to play this racial supremacy game, you might need to join the clan. With his genetic makeup, sounds like his research in black studies is cultural appropriation. So, Cracker Boy, I would suggest that you throw out your King Sunny a Day collection, grab a fiddle, and saw off some possum on a gum stump. So what's all this about? Well, it turns out that Chike and Rashad badly want to believe that they're the descendants of the Egyptians because they think the Egyptians were like so smart. Never mind the fact that Egyptians were also the original slave owners. They tend to kind of forget that part. So this is really all about black supremacy. Of course, the big mistake they make is to believe that African Americans are descendants of the Egyptians. They are not. As a white boy, the Egyptians are more likely to be my ancestors than theirs. But who cares? Nothing that the Egyptians do has any bearing on me whatsoever. Even though they were an advanced civilization and invented some new things, no doubt, that doesn't reflect on me. I can't take credit for anything they did. And quite frankly, in comparison to people today, they were a bunch of numbskulls. Idiots. Doomkoffs. But you can't tell Rashad and Chike this. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.